Hi class, this is Mr. Tan, and we're doing managing operations today, and we're on what question?
P5. P5.
And what does P5 say?
Explain the importance and value of operational management in achieving business objectives.
Okay, good. So obviously the key word here is explain, and explain means to go into more detail. So the first thing we should talk about in answering this question is what?
Objectives.
Yeah, what are the objectives? And we're talking about the objectives of the private sector. In the private sector, you can start talking about, different types of businesses in the private sector briefly, not in lots of details, but briefly. So we're talking about a sole trader, a one-man band, a partnership between two or more people, private limited companies, public limited companies, and you can mention the difference between limited companies and companies like a sole trader and partnership who do not have limited liability. And the difference being is that the limited companies are limited to the debts of the company. So if the company goes bankrupt and they have to pay their debts, then the bailiffs will only come after going through the courts to the company. Whereas in the case of a sole trader and partnership, if you go bankrupt, then the courts will be coming after your monies, the assets that you own, okay, personally, your TV, your house, your carpet, everything in your house, your sofas, everything, okay? So there's a difference between a limited liability company and a company which is not limited by liability. Then, what are the objectives for these companies in the private sector? Well, the objectives of the companies in the private sector is to make a profit and to meet the stakeholders' needs. And we can see, by using the case example of Tesco's, Tesco's is a public limited company. A public limited company is different from a private limited company because a public limited company have their shares listed on the stock exchange. So you can buy shares in the stock exchange. Difference from a private limited company which do not have shares on the stock exchange. So you cannot buy shares in that company on a stock exchange. Whereas for Tesco's, we've seen big differences in 2015. Their objective is to meet the stakeholders' needs, to give a share dividend and to make a profit. In 2015, we saw that Tesco's made a pre-tax loss of 6.4 billion. Not very good in terms of meeting the aims and objectives of the business. So in terms of explaining that, I talk about maybe 5 to 7 lines, 10 words per line, about 70 words explaining all of those. The next thing we need to talk about is what?
Operational management.
Yes. Before we go into the importance of operational management principles that Tesco's use, because we're using Tesco's, of course, that's the case study. Whatever case study you use that company's examples. But we need to talk about operations management to lead into it. We know that in terms of operations management, there are mainly 3 sections to it. There are inputs, the transformation process in the middle, and then the outputs, how the customer gets their goods and services. Around the middle of the company, or the outside of the company, are like environmental factors like pestel, political, economic, social, technological, legal, and environmental factors that affect and have an influence on the company. For instance, Brexit is having an effect, an influence on Tesco's because the pound has fallen. Therefore, goods coming in from the outside the UK into the UK that Tesco's are bringing in are now more expensive, which is going to impact upon their income statement in terms of making their cost of their goods more expensive, and therefore their gross profit margins less and their gross profit percentage margins less in comparison to previous years. So that's not going to make their shareholders happy, especially if it affects their dividends at the end of the day. So we know that systems can either be closed systems or open systems. Closed systems are where the outside factors do not affect the company, whereas the outside factors in an open system do affect. So we've seen increased competition from Aldi and Lidl affecting the profit margins again on Tesco's. Four pints of semi-skimmed milk normally was previously in Lidl and Aldi 80 pence, whereas in Tesco's it was £1.20. Which one are you going to buy? You're going to buy the one from Lidl and Aldi. The prices have changed now, but when you go in, you're not just going to buy the milk, you're going to buy other goods as well. Okay, so we can see that Tesco's have been under a great deal of profit. They've reacted by buying Booker's, and Booker's has Londis and Budgeons, and we know that Budgens and Londis will now take Tesco's goods and compete against, to some degree, Lidl and Aldi in terms of selling low-cost goods. And by having Bookers are now distributing to over 30,000 different independent stores. Having Tesco's goods going in there is going to open up Tesco's market even more. And we've seen in 2016 and 2017, Tesco's made a pre-tax profit in 2016 and 17. But these changes in distribution centres from 32 to 30, changes in buying Bookers, Londis and Budgens, and the changes in their management operations in terms of what's been happening on the outside has been in the transformational process in the middle, in terms of inputs, transformation process and outputs. So now we know that, what's the next thing that we need to talk about? So the question says, explain the importance and value operations managements have. So we have to relate it to what company? Tesco's, because Tesco's is the case study that we've been given. If you've got a different case study, then you use the appropriate case study in relation to the assignment question. So, what do we know about Tesco's? So we know that, I've taken some notes from the report as well, so Tesco's has like 3 main operation management aspects. What are those 3 aspects?
Corporate strategy,
An operation strategy,
business unit strategy,
a business unit strategy, yes.
functional strategy.
Yes, so and these come to operation strategy, operation design and operations management. So in terms of the strategy of the company, what do we see that Tesco's have done in terms of the strategy of the company?
They've closed smaller stores since 1985.
They have closed smaller stores, but let's talk about the stores that Tesco's have. What type of stores do Tesco's have?
4 main stores.
What are the 4 main stores that Tesco's have?
Express,
The express stores, metro stores,
Extra
extra stores and superstores. And all these stores target different types of customers. The superstores, what type of customers predominantly go in there?
families.
Families, and is it men or women?
Oh,
Predominantly
Women.
women.
women, yeah.
And how long do you think women spend in the superstores?
Um,
How long? Give me a time.
An hour?
At minimum. Minimum. 1 to 2 hours.
1 to 2 hours, maybe 3 hours.
1 to 2 hours.
According to the statistics, 1 to 2 hours.
Yes, but time fly for us. So
Yeah, but we spend like 2 hours to do.
And how long does it take for a man to get bored?
20 minutes.
Wow, 20 minutes?
Half an hour at least. We're bored after half an hour.
Go.
See, there's a discrepancy in time there. 2 hours for a woman, half an hour for a man. In other words, don't take the man shopping. Go by yourselves.
Yeah.
Okay. So we know in the express stores, how long do people normally take in the express stores?
10 minutes.
Yeah, no more, not even more than 10 minutes. Less than 10 minutes.
Yeah, 5 minutes.
You're 5-10 minutes. You want to go in and out, quick.
Depends on the key.
It does depend on the queue. Absolutely. What about the metro stores? Where are these metro stores based?
Petrol station.
No,
No,
express
no,
stores are in petrol stations.
But the main road?
Main road or in towns.
In towns.
Extra stores and metro stores are predominantly in towns. And the metro stores predominantly targeting kind of like business people in towns working as well, and people who are going to be shopping for how long? Are they shopping for what? How many days? How long are they shopping for? How much shopping are they doing for? Lunch or
1 day.
1 or 2 days.
Yeah.
Whereas the superstores, you're shopping for the week
Yeah.
or a month sometimes. You know, you got maybe baskets. Whereas in the extra and metro stores, is shopping for a different type of customer. So the strategy of Tesco's has been obviously to target different types of stores. What else is the strategy of Tesco's in terms of operations? What's the strategy?
Business unit strategy.
No, so Tesco's also they buy non-food products from where?
From China?
From China and
India?
from India. Good. Why?
Less cost.
Less cost because yes, it's cheaper, and you buy in economies of scale, buying from India and China non-food products. You bring them over here and you distribute and sell them, which means that you get economies of scale and you can sell it at the lowest possible price. Because Tesco's strategy is what?
Low cost.
Low price,
Low price.
low prices, and adding to the low prices, what have they tried to do in terms of loyalty to their customers? What have they given? the
card.
Tesco's loyalty card.
Oh, yes.
Yes. And so they're giving you Tesco's loyalty card and you get discounts, don't you? And you get
Yes.
emails and so on and so forth. But there's no such thing as a free lunch. They do monitor everything that you spend. They monitor everything that you spend, what you spend, when you spend, why you buy, when you buy, and how much you spend. So they do know all of these things. Okay, so that's the overall strategy, and it's good. What about some of the things that they're doing in terms of their operations, in terms of their operation design and their management operations in the transformational process? What are some of the things they are doing? Tell me.
They have improved the customer delivery system.
Yeah.
Okay, so in terms of sourcing, they're sourcing in terms of they're sourcing from China and India. That's the first thing in terms of their design, and that does what? It gives you economies of scale, and it allows you to offer a low price but still maintain your margins. What else do they do? What have they done to make customer service better?
Improve
Introduce
the
technology.
delivery system.
Okay, what technology have they done?
RFID.
No, before that, they've implemented something direct to the end consumer.
Self-service.
No, we've done the self-service, yes, but what have they? Yes, Tesco's delivery, direct. Tesco's direct. Tesco's was the first company to now deliver, but now this is changing their management operations.